Hope you guys able to see my screen. So we have started DB related components on Thursday. So we have started about DB components, input and output. So how to read from the table, how to write onto the table, and how to create from Talend. So table creation. So we have seen an option on table on action or action on data. So those two options we have seen in a output component. So we can create a table, or we want to drop existing one and recreate the table. So we have seen options to create a table from Talend. So generally, I told you, right, it's not the uh, really regular practice which we are going to create a tables from Talend. So we'll have created tables. We'll start using that. So this is how we started our job, and just recapping those options which we have discussed on last week. So if you want to write onto the table, if you want to create a table, so what component we are going to select? Output components, TDB, MySQL. So I'm using MySQL, so I'm going to use the MySQL component, and we can see what are all the details we have to provide. So this is again going to be the common. If it is a file, we have to pass the path and we have to pass the delimiter. If it is a delimiter file, same way, if it is a MySQL, then you have to provide the MySQL related connectivity details, host name or credentials, or whatever schema you are going to use, or whatever table you are trying to load. So under action on table, you can see the options to drop and create a table, or just a create. It's the first time you want to create a table from Talend, then you can select the create table option. So create table if does not exist. So already table is there not, we want to check. If the table is not there, then we want to create, then use this option. And the drop table if exist and create. So table already is there in your schema, then you can drop it and create it. And clear table is nothing but a delete. So you want to delete the data, we can select the delete data. And truncate, we know delete and truncate in a SQL. So those options they have provided a clear table and delete, like a truncate, delete and truncate. It's nothing but a delete and truncate. So these options we are going to use. So if I want to, every time I want to truncate and load the table example. So you can select the truncate, and how much volume of data is there. We have already 30 rows, 30 or 40 rows we have in the table. So I want to every time I want to I want to clear the data and I want to load the table. So how many rows we are generating in row generator? 10 or 20? 10 rows. So every time what will happen? It will always recreate the 10 rows generation in that table. So we have used this row generator. So row generator always, for why we are using, so just to generate a mock data or a dummy data to create, we are using this component. In real time, we are not going to use this component 99.9%. So okay, so 1% again, it's just to create a dummy data, we may use it. But otherwise, we don't need to worry about this component. And but here what is the understand we have to get right. So functions, so what functions we are using to generate the data. So if you want to create a new sequence, then you have to use the numeric sequence. You want to generate a some custom values, then you have to select the strings you have to pass. So that kind of information, it's going to be helpful while you are practicing the T row generator. Okay, T row generator is a purpose to generate a dummy data using the existing functions. So automatically using the functions, it's going to generate the data, and we try to load onto the table, and in between I keep telling you, so we are going to use the transformation. If you are doing a transformation or not doesn't matter, but you have to keep the t map between the input and output, so that later if they want to add something, then it will be easy to add it. Okay, and we have discussed about so small transformation, so which is a just a updated date and updated by the source doesn't have that kind of audit. So just we are added that updated date and updated by, and we used a existing functions. So how to generate a current date from your job, so your job talent job, how you are going to current date, then you have to use the talent date dot get current date, and again it's a string, so you can keep the double quotes and you can put the value, so that it will treat it as a string for updated by. So now we what option we have selected. So now I want to, whenever my run my job, I want to clear, I want to truncate the table, and I want to load freshly. So 10 rows it is going to generate. So whatever is there 10 rows before run, it will going to truncate the data and load again. So I'm going to run this job. So you can go and see, it will be truncated and we'll see only 10 rows. See, right, 10 rows are created. So when you run again, so you can see that these rows are related, and again it is created a 10 rows again. And second flow, just we want to read that the same whatever data is going to load into the table. So 10 rows whatever loaded, we try to read and want to display on the log row. So now I'm going to rerun. So again it will truncate. So we can use a clear now. So that is how you can use options, what action you want to perform on the table. So this is a action on table, you can select any table, anything. Okay, clear table, I'm using clear table. These options are going to be the same for any like database you are going to use. It's going to be even NoSQL also, the options are going to be the same. So action on table is going to be the same, and coming to action on data, it's going to be insert or update, or update or insert, or duplicates. So those options never going to change because it's a DB, right? So the behavior of all data actions or table actions are going to be the same for any output component. You can see the same options for any database component, and here also you can see the same drop, create. So default means you are not going to do any action on table. So just whatever table exists, that is the table you are going to use and do your uh, action on data. So default is always going to be our default only. So it's not, we are not going to create any tables in general. So very rare case you are going to create from Talend, because it's not recommended much to create a actual tables and all. It's a temporary or a staging tables in case you want to do and like a testing purpose, you are going to create a dummy tables in your like a dummy, in the sense a temporary intermediate tables you are going to create from Talend. Otherwise always the model or data tables are going to be created. You are just going to call the table, you are going to use that existing table, and you are going to read from the table or write from your job. So the process of load, so there is a concept of load, there is no creation concept in ETL. Just to if temporary tables, only temporary tables. You are going to use the option 2 from Talend. Otherwise, you are just going to load. Actually, the load is going to be insert or update or upset, whatever option is relevant to that scenario. Okay. So these are all options you can try. And action on data, insert or update. So insert means it's a freshly going to keep insert into the table. Update means if you have any key column on the same data, it is going to update the data. So like that, there is a case, some things, if it is a new record you want to insert, or you want to update an existing data, then you are going to use insert or update. So here priority the insert or update or insert. Just they are giving a option to you what action to be performed while loading into the data onto the table. So first you want to find the new records which are need to be inserted into the target table. Then you can select insert or update. Or you want to go with the first update. So whatever records are exist in the table, you just want to update and then you want to insert. So like that you want to delete. So you want to delete. So then you can select the delete. So now you are going to select the delete. So what will happen? It's going to delete the data and you don't get any rows from your second flow because you are trying to read from. So if you want to delete, so like a Saturday we discussed, right? We need to have a, if you want to perform delete, update anything, you need to have a key column. Otherwise, it will not able to identify what to delete. Just I selected ID as a key column. So it's not there in a like a DB side. We don't have any key or a key thing, but still we try to use the NT map. So that is how the logically they have designed. So it is expects a key check. So you have to check the key. So what is your key? So deleting, they need a key. So now you see, right, 10 rows generated and I have selected a delete option on data. So what I selected, delete option. So it just loaded and then it is deleted simply. So it is not going to keep the data because I have selected delete data. So delete data I have used. So it is deleted the data. And second flow, it is reading from the table. So data is deleted. There is no records in this table. So it is not able to get the data. So here I want to add a condition. If the data is there in the table only, I want to run this flow. Otherwise, what is the use of reading from this table? So what we have to do? We have to use a, what option we have? So to check the condition. So if we want to check the condition between two flows, so what is the option we have? There is a trigger if condition. So run if is going to check the condition. So TB output, so this table has any records are inserted or not, our table has any records or not. So you can just check the condition. So if you are, you just put the condition. So whatever condition you want to place, you can check what is the value of that return value of that output. So like that you have to use the condition and then you have to run this flow. Okay, just practice this kind of scenarios. So already you are familiar with connections, right? Just practice. So I don't want to run this flow without any records here. So what is the point of running this job? If there is no records are inserted or there is no records are there, then no need to run this, right? So those kind of scenarios you think and implement start when you are practicing. Okay, so I don't want to create this establish, right? So you can separate this job and you can put in a separate job and you can check this count of this table and you can run this. So the way of designing, a way of thinking your logical things, you have to start practicing. So why we have to run this job if there is no record? That is the question you have to get when you are designing a real time scenario. Also, if the table does not have a data, then we no need to run the other flow, right? So otherwise it's going to take a 2 minutes of time and it's a waste of querying on the table. So it's going to be a like it's going to query on the table, it will just establish the connection. So it is trying to establish a connection and it will try to query on the table. So if the table has millions of data, it's going to be a waste of time. So if it's just data is there, then it's fine. It's going to query and get data. If there is no data, then no need to hit the DB also. So that kind of things, what we have to do, we have to establish a query conditions. So conditions, it's going to return the value. So first, when you are doing that, what we have to check, that's where you have to check the statistics. So how many records are inserted, how you are going to check. So just put the on sub job okay or on component okay, you can check the print statement. So how many records are printed. So what is the component DB output? Now you can see, right? And how many number of lines are inserted, how many number of lines are deleted. So it will give the separate each and every action. It will give the count. So you can find that how many records are inserted, because our option is deleted. So how many are deleted, we have to select now. So how many are deleted, you are going to get using the variable of deleted lines. So select here what action on data you are taking. Based on that, you have to take the variable, so that you will get the count of that number of records performed on that action. So on component okay, I have established a connection between tjava row, tjava, and tdb output. So after completing this component, it is going to return the value. So how many records are deleted. So 0. So this is the condition. When you are establishing between these two flows, automatically then this job will not going to trigger. So what you have to do, you have to put run if condition between these two flows. So you can put from here or you can put from here. So always you can put from the main component, which is the starting point of your job. There you can put the condition, and you can copy that condition. So whatever condition you have taken right here, so you just take this number. So whatever it is going to return after deleting. So what condition we have to keep here? What condition? So
Should be greater
always,
than zero.
yes, we have to put condition not equal to 0 always. If the number of records deleted is not equal to 0 or greater than 0, then only I want to run this. So always it will fail, right? So it's a returning 0. 0 not equal to 0, no, right? So always the condition will fail. So that's how you have to check the condition. So deletion is not like it's not a valid, but just to we are trying. Okay, so always we have to check the insert. So we missed one more parenthesis. Okay. So now the flow is not started. You can see that false. So false statement is there. Now I'm going to change this as a insert. So this condition is valid now. Delete count is valid. No, right? It will going to return the null. So we'll check. So what happened? So the first flow is going to load the data into the table with 10 rows, and other one is failed because it's always it's checking, but it's not a valid because we have a component, but it is returning it's null not equal to null. So like that it will validate the condition is not going to be validated. But our scenario is data is there in this table. Then we want to run the second flow. Then condition need to be changed. So what condition we have to keep here? So we have to take the insert number of records inserted is greater than 0. Then we want to run this second flow because we have taken action on data is inserted. So insert statement you have taken for number of rows. So then you have to select the number of rows inserted and you can check the condition not equal to 0 or greater than 0 so that it will always run the your second flow. And this one is not valid. So here also we have to just print the this kind of stats logs and all everything you can keep in your job so that you can find which flow has written how many rows and which flow has created like a like if it is generating if you are reading from file number of lines read from the file and number of records right onto the table. These kind of counts you can able to print it. Now you see two times the earlier 10 rows are inserted, again we run the 10 rows inserted, so total 20 rows has written. The condition is like this. So now I want to change the condition to if more than 50 rows I want to run this job, then when it is going to trigger, so after 3 runs greater than 50. False. Okay, I'm running again. Till that satisfy the condition whatever we have provided on the if, till that time Java is going to keep check that condition. So second flow will not be triggered because our condition is greater than 50 rows. So table once it get 50 rows, then only it will start second flow. Now 60 rows. So now you can see our data is going to so now you guys understand what happening is we have selected a number of rows 10. So always this row generator, how many rows it is generating? 10 rows. So it is inserting 10. So it's not about how many rows are inserted in 50 in a SQL. So it is just checking how many rows are processing in a first flow. So 10. So never we are going to get the 50 because we are selected 10 rows generation from this component. So always it is going to get the 10 rows only. So how many inserted it will give 10 rows. So that is where you are, it is printing 10 for each and every run. So this condition never going to be satisfied. You want to satisfy this, you have to keep your condition as 10 equal to 10 because T row generator is a 10 rows only it is giving. Or what you have to do, you have to get the count of this table and you have to put that condition for this, or that is a like a that is a challenge, like a challenge or task for you, just how you can solve this problem. So it is not going to check that greater than 50. It's never going to be satisfy that condition, because it's a 10 rows it is going to be inserted every time. So the number of rows inserted, always it will return this global variable, it is going to return 10 rows only. So that is where we are checking the condition is the global variable greater than or equal to 50. So never it is going to be 50, because the rows we are generating 50. So that thing simple, we can change the 50, then it will satisfy the number of rows return, then it will give the that will go to the second flow. That is one. Other condition, what you can do, you can change the equal to 10. So now I want to check the 50 51 first. And other scenario, right, what I asked you to practice, right, just get the count from the db. And count, you can put that 50 condition and you can test the job. So that is your exercise. So just how to get the SQL count, how you are going to get the SQL count. So select count of star from table name. So get that count and you can get that count and compare the count condition and then run the second flow. Okay. So this is you understand, right, how to check the condition. The above condition you have to satisfy with the flow, and then only you want to run the second flow. So here what exercise I'm asking, just get the count from table, and you can keep that count in a variable, and you can compare with that what is your condition. So whatever here, right, you can put the number, like you can just put 10 greater than whatever variable you are going to store. The count of records you are going to get, you can keep that in a variable, and you can write call that variable, and you can put 50. So 10 greater than 50 always no, right, that's not going to satisfy. 10 equal to 50, 10. So it's going to satisfy always. So the conditions, so you have to check what condition is going to work for your scenario. So that condition you can place in the run if condition trigger. So trigger where run if is a where you are going to check the condition to be satisfied before triggering any job. That's where we are going to use the run if condition. So on sub job, okay, we are just using, right, if the table is inserted, then only we want to run the second flow. So that is a just we are going to use the on sub job, okay. Or you want to just check on the output component, you can use the on component, okay. Like that, when you started using the job scenario, you can play with it, what connection is going to satisfy, and you can assume your scenarios, and you can use all the connections, all the trigger connections, and main you are going to use. So main you don't need to worry. So just about to learn from triggers, so what conditions you are going to use. So now I want to get the error. So I want to get the error. So what is the scenario here I can generate. So what I have to do, I have to fail the connectivity from db. So what I have to do, just I'll do one small mistake in the connection. So obviously job is not going to not able to establish a connection. I'm deleting this t. So host name typo is a mistake. So I have typo is a local host. So that is not a valid host name. It's not able to identify the host. So local host is a expected connection server name, but we are a typo. So that is going to fail the connection. So then I want to capture that error. So what is a component error? I'm going to use on component error. So if the component throws any error, I want to capture and I want to print the message. So the die component, what it is going to, it will, if it find any error in your job, automatically it will terminate your job immediately, because after that it want to go, it want to pass for next. So it's a waste of time, right? So db connection is failed, then what is the point of go to the connection and get this. And remove this scenario also right now, just understand what how to use the uncomponent error. So if you get any error, I want to log that information. So So DB is going to fail because we made a mistake in our server name. So server name is a local host, but typo, we didn't pass that properly local host. So this is where it is not able to establish a connection to database. So and it will throw error. So I want to capture that why it is failed. So on component error I am using because this is expected behavior, right? DB sometimes, so they have some server down, or they're going to have some password reset. We don't have that communication. They have reset the password. So every 180 days or 90 days, people have that practice to reset your password to avoid any kind of hacking or any kind of issues. To avoid that kind of situation, they'll keep update the password every 90 days or 180 days, and they'll communicate our team to make sure this is a new password is resetted by yesterday. But we didn't receive that mail, or we don't have that communication. So obviously our job is going to fail in a production or a lower environments, wherever our job is running. So that kind of time we have to capture, so where the fail. So if you're not having that, it will throw error, but still you are handling that error. You are trying to capture that error, and you are going to get that message. You know, right? You are connected to DB component, so that you are saying DB connectivity issue. And how to concatenate the string. So here you can see that there is a error message is the right. You can just concatenate to the DB connectivity issue, and you can put something, and you can copy that variable which is going to return the error message. So this is a string. So string, how you are going to concatenate. So you can put the double quotes for a letters, and you can keep plus is a concatenation, and you can add whatever other string. So other string is error message is a string type data. It is going to return when the job failed. So after you are seeing, right, in braces you are see after. So when the job is failed, after that you are going to get that error message. So I'm just trying to capture that error message, and I'm printing between the TDI row. So TDI component, what it is going to do, it will kill your job immediately. If it find any error, so it will capture that error, and it will fail uh, automatically. So now you see, right? So automatically job is failed, and you can see, right? So this is the message it is printing. This one you can going to log into the table, or somewhere you can keep that the run, which run is failed, what is the issue. So what is the issue? So communications link failure. This is a error message written by that component, and this is you have written that custom message. So DB connectivity issue, and what is the issue? Communication. So communication link failure, because the server name is you provided wrong. So automatically it is terminated your job immediately. You see that what is the message it is passing? Error. So it find some error in your DB output component. So always you see, notice that here. So job is starting from output. It is try to establish the first what is the external connections it is looking for. So it is established. If you put a file, it will check the file path is there, and then it will start reading from the input component. Same way it will uh, try to check the connectivity in the DB component. It is try to check that component connection. So connection is able to establish, then it will start reading the data and writing onto that table. So it is failed at connection level. So it is obviously it will not able to load, or it will not what is the point of reading from uh, input component. So it will throw error. So that error, so without you don't have a connection also, it will throw the same error. But why we are capturing, we are trying to capture that error, and we are terminating the job immediately. For that purpose we are using the TDie component. So TDie means it will immediately killing the job. So TDie, you see, right? Die meaning itself, it's a going to kill. So die means it's a kind of we are explicitly killing our job. Without you are using this component also, automatically your job will terminate. But we are trying to do our logging purpose, and we are making sure, because it's a DB connection, right? If you are not going to kill that process, maybe the connection will be keep trying to do in a db side. So we are trying to pass that indication in our job to kill that, and this is message will so if the technical person who is not a technical person supporting guy, so we'll have some layers like L3 L2 L1 something who is going to monitor your production jobs. If there is any failure, they'll try to process or they'll reach out to the developer. In that case, right, they'll go and see the log and they'll see they can able to follow this message. So there is a db connectivity issue, that's where a job is failed, so they can able to pass that information to the respective team developer or who are going to help support the production and all. But if you don't have this issue, right, they may not able to exactly follow what is this error. He can see, right, there is a issue with unknown host. So this kind of exception, if they're more they are having that kind of technical knowledge or a skill, they can able to understand. Otherwise they'll think something had happened on your job, so they'll keep post you all this error. So instead of that, based on that, if you customize your message and you can put that proper in your table or a file, so this common statement, this is a readable and understandable information. So there is a link failure db connectivity issue, because of that job is failed, and we know technically because we made a mistake in a server name, so we got this error. So these things they cannot understand fully, people who are supporting to you. That's where you have to handle the custom logging and all. Custom logging means you have to make sure you have written a proper statements way which is related to, if for example you are writing a file into the path, that path is the folder or something, you don't have a permission to create the folder, but we are expecting folder will be there and you are trying to populate the file into that location. So you don't have that folder, then it will say could not find the path. So that kind of message you have to capture and you have to write onto the file or table. So that will help who are going to monitor or supporting your job. So now you are going to run this also sub job. Okay, so we are introduced one more component and one more connection. So we are trying to understand the connection. So connection on component error. So you have to use, if you are connecting any external sources, then you have to use the error handling also, and you have to keep the kind of information which you are trying to inform to the person who is going to monitor your jobs. So always you are not going to be there, right? You are not going to be run always jobs, or you are not going to keep stay with your project. Now you see, right, you are terminated the job, it didn't come to, because of course the job is failed, so it will not come to the sub job. Okay, if you use a unsub job error something, then it will come to here. Okay, so otherwise it will not come. This kind of custom things you can keep in your job, and you can externally terminate your job, and you can capture the error messages and all. So now I'm going to correct this host. So what is the advantage of custom logging here? Here we are understanding, and if you give the proper message, or you are going to capture the proper information, that will be readable for any person. He is a supporting, he don't know Talend, he don't know sql, he don't know any technical. He just if it is a red color, he'll think it is a failure. In a like a scheduler, automatically when job fails, you'll see that red mark on your job. If it is a success, then you see the green mark. So they will follow that same thing. They'll check if there is any failure. Obviously we'll get a mail notifications, so automated mails notifications are they're going to establish between your scheduler and like whatever mail you are using. But still, even though they'll go and check in your scheduler, if there is a into mark is there, then they'll think it's a failure, they'll send a whole log, and they'll not understand these things. But for you also, right, you are busy with some other work, if you have this kind of simple customized message, then you can easily figure out. Or someone is working in your team, he is also new to this job, I mean, he's also new to this process. Like this, you have maintained the logs and properly, so he no need to reach out to you. What is the issue? Why? What is the fix he need to do and all? Based on this log, you can understand. Yes, this is something is a DB issue. This is failed. Let me check the host details or a password, credentials, whatever. I have to let me check first, and then he will come back to you. Still, he is not able to follow. So that is the advantage of customizing log and non-component error. So every component which has some external path or connecting to the external servers, then you have to use the on component error or on sub job error, so that it will capture that error thing and you can maintain that in a log. Okay, so you can use here, you don't get on component sub job error, then you can find here whole job is there, right? So starting point you will get that. So now here you can put that on sub job error. So here only component, because it's not a starting point of your job. Starting point is row generator. So that's where you are using on sub job error. So I have corrected the host name. So it is able to establish a connection. So there is no error to capture. So it is not failed. So now I'm going to, I have changed the host name. I have made a mistake in the host name. So now you are going to get the error. So now you see, right? We get the error. So it's not able to process. So like this, you can use the on sub job error, on component error. So when to use this component, when to use this connection, and when to put this component, right? When you are designing a job, you have to understand you are connecting any external sources from Talend. Like it's within the job, right? Within the job, you are trying to establish a source. Source is SQL. So you are connecting to the other host or a network. It's not going to be in your network. So obviously there is a chance of failure. So you are expected error. So it's not always going to be expected error, but sometimes you may there may be chance of failure. So that kind of thing you can log and you can maintain that on component okay or on sub job error, so that you can able to have that kind of information. What is the failure and why it is getting error, so that you can easily catch and you can go and fix on the issue. Okay, so on sub job okay, on sub job error, when you are going to use, if there is a chance of any failure going to happen in your job, you are just expecting. So it's not always going to be the issue. You are expecting in future there may be chance of failure, so that we are trying to make the proper logging and to capture the whenever failure happened. For that purpose, we are using a on sub job error, on sub job error or component error. So these two connections, when we are going to use, if there is chance of failures. So be to due to DB connectivity or due to file path or due to some network issue in your Talend. So you are connecting to the remote also. There may be your server is rebooted or your server is not able to find, it's terminated automatically. You don't know that issue, but your job is trying to run from scheduler. So there is going to be a failure of your job running. So then you want to capture that failure notification. So that's that is where you are going to use the on sub job error, on component error. So component error, you are clear, right? So when which component you are expecting to get that kind of exception error, so there you are going to use. Or generically overall the job you are expecting some failure, you can use that on sub job error. So job level error, any job level kind of this flow, anywhere you are going to capture. But this is a specific, we have written DB connectivity, then there is no point of using the on sub job error. So you are expecting DB connectant is going to be your suspected action failure. So then why we have to use the on sub job error? So each and every component you can have that kind of logging. So you are expecting the failure will happen at DB component. Then you don't need to use the sub job okay. You can use the on component error, which is going to throw error at your DB level. So you can use this. And you have some other issues, then you are having some other components which you are using, there may be chance of failures, then on component okay you can use. Or generic error, so generic error you want to get, you can use the on sub job error. Okay, so this is how you are going to use the on component error, on sub job error. So mainly in a like a file system, if you have a look, file system also, it's going to be a one time. So once they created a folder, you will not get it. But only when you are going to see this kind of issues, you are connecting to the third party like DBs. So DBs or cloud networks or whatever you are going to use a target system. So target system or a source system. So source system also is a database or NoSQL, whatever. So then you are going to see these kind of issues. So mainly regularly what kind of issues you are going to get, some network connection connectivity issue like this, not about host name or issue, the password. So there is a communication gap. They forget to let you know they have changed the password yesterday. So because 180 days over, it asks to reset the password, so they forget to inform you, or they thought to let you know tomorrow, but your regular scheduled jobs are running, so they don't know that, so they miss to communicate information, then obviously your jobs are going to fail. This is a regular real time issue which we are going to see in your life. So when the jobs are failed, so only issue with they have rebooted the system, and while your jobs are running, so then it will not able to establish connection, right, if they restarted servers or the DB server or something. And other issue is they have resetted a password, but there is a communication not established when they reach when they reset the password and all. These two you are going to regularly see with your DB or any network any components which are you are going to source or a target. So if it is having in a other host or it is other taken other product, then you will see this kind of regular issues. So network issues uh, or a password issues which is going to throw you error. So that kind of thing you can just log it and you can terminate your jobs, and you can create a dependency. So for example, this job is a separate job we have created, but we want to capture, if this is success only I want to run this job, then if this is failed, so I don't want to go to the next job flow and all. Guys, can you please go on mute? Okay, so this is how you are going to handle the on component okay, on component on component error. So on component okay we have already seen in your previous exercises, but now we are using on component error. Why I waited to explain this here, right? So only external sources we are having that network issues. So this is we cannot there may be the local host we made a mistake. Right now we don't have any network issues, so we try to produce that kind of issue. For that purpose I made a mistake. Generally we don't made a mistake, maybe still you are going to get this kind of error, communication link failure, because they have done some DB and they have rebooted, or they are doing some patch to the database. So while they are doing patch, they got some issue, then you will get this kind of issue. This is just to I produced that error, so I just created the communication failure. Is going to be a common error which is going to return by your DB components, and here it will change the exception. So here it is saying unknown host, right? Is going to be common, but here it will not print the whatever host name. It will print a network issue or something, but the common thing it will print that this is a common message, communication link failure. It may be issue with anything. It may be network issue or a host name issue or anything. So if the password is changed, then it will say password access denied something. It will give the proper messages, but a few things it's going to be common. But you can understand all the aspects of your database where they have any rebooted or they have patch anything latest version they have installed in the DB, so that you can find the issues. Okay, and now we are good with this, how to how to capture the error failure and capture the on component okay, on component error, on sub job error. So now we are using a two components which is writing data and which is reading data. So two components we are using, and we are trying to so one like one point is you are trying to pass the details every time. So you are passing localhost or password, credentials, and table name. So you are passing every time. So if you have a 10 flows and 10 places, you have to pass that DB connectivity details. And if the tables may be changed, so but still you are passing the credentials and connection related whatever is going to be common, you are trying to pass each and every component. So that is not going to be that is a waste of time, right? Passing same connection or at same db details to each and every component. To avoid this one, we have a component which can establish a connection for a job. You can use the same connection object or a reference to the n number of components in your job. So we have a which component will help you to establish connection one time, and you are going to use a number of components. It's going to be read or write. So you can use the same object, same connection object. So what is the component is t mysql can see here connection. So this is the this is the component. It's going to be a common for any product. If it is going to be a database or a crm, erp, any tool which is you are going to have the same connection component. Here you can see, right, what are the things you have to pass. Again, it's how input we have seen, right? So same things you are going to pass here. Okay, so we have passed the credentials here. Okay, so now I'm going to. So now we are suspecting DB connection issue. You don't need to pass here. You can establish a connection here. So this is going to be your this is going to be your you want to handle the connection. So you can connection you can establish in this component. This is your connection component, right? So now you are established this one, and you are trying to capture the if there is any failure you want to capture this. Okay, you no need to pass component level because connection is establishing here. And for this job, what is the prerequisite? I want to establish a db connection. So there is a pre job component which is indicates that your job is going to start this. You can see the only one connection for this component. So this is a on component. Okay, so this is just what it indicate, right? You have a number of flows, so you have a starting point here also, but before the starting point it is going to trigger this one only. So because it's a pre component which is going to check this what you are expecting before starting your main flow. So before starting your main flow, it is going to do this activity. So here pre-job. So pre-job is going to check that what are connections, what are components you are connected and you are expecting to check before starting main flow. So main flow is data reading and writing, right? This is your main flow. Okay, before this main flow starts, you want to check anything, you can use the tree pre-job. There is no configuration, nothing. Just whenever you connect to this component to other component, before starting your main flow, it will check that it has to do some kind of pre-work. So prerequisite. So prerequisite always it's going to be we'll use a connections. right? So other than that, we'll have context load and all, but always prerequisite means you want to prepare something. What are the ingredients you want? You will check, right? You want to prepare some food, so you want to prepare some curry, then you will find, right, what are the things required and what you have in your kitchen, what not you want to get that from outside. So you will check all the things, like your job also, you will check that what is required to run this job. So if you want a DB connection, or you want to establish a FTP connection, so file transfer related, protocol related connection, so what is the required to run this job? So all the connections you are going to put in the pre-job. So pre-job is going to check before starting your flow. Same way, before you are cooking, you'll check all the things, right? Same way, if you are doing some function, so before the date is confirmed, you are doing some function on so and so date, so you will prepare all the required arrangements for that function, right? So what is the things you want, like, so same way you are going to check that same connections are need, what is the need of the connection. So needed things before you are going to get into your plate. So this is your plate. So before starting your cooking or before starting your activity, so you have to check that connection and all. So the pre component which will check before starting your main flow. So the main flow is going to wait to complete the pre-flow. So this is a pre-flow. So pre-flow will wait for you to complete before starting the main flow. The main flow will not start immediately. You see that green color icon here, but still it is not going to trigger, because you have a code which is having the class which is going to check that pre-activity of DB connection and all. So now we are checking that pre connection, DB is connection is established or not, and if there is any connection issue, we are trying to capture that error. So this is going to be stopped immediately. So pre connection itself, it find any issues with your connectivity, then it will not come to the main flow to load the data, read the data, whatever process you are doing, because you are handling it in your pre-flow itself. So prerequisites itself, you want to prepare some biryani, you don't have that rice, then you don't start your biryani, right? You cannot cook with your normal rice. You cannot make that biryani. Same way, you don't have a masala, then how you will prepare a you want to prepare some masala curry, you don't have masala, then how you will create a masala curry? You cannot call that masala, right? So same way, you don't have that actual ingredient. So connection is your ingredient for your process of this job, reading data, writing data. So you don't have that, then how you will start? So you have to get that connection first. You want to check the connection is going to be valid, and connection is established between your Talend and a SQL, then only you are able to run this job. So now you are going to run this job. And why we have used this component but we are not used anywhere? So how to use this component? If you go to your individual input or output components, you can find a use existing connection. So it is going to establish a one connection object which is going to used by other components also. You can find that component TDB connection 1. So same way you will get in a input also, there is an option to use existing connection. This is all connection related components, you will find these options. So before starting your job, it will going to check this connection is established or not, and then it will start. So this is not going to use individual creation, individual object. For example, some of you plan to tour somewhere, you are planning to go somewhere, so you have to book a ticket. So individually, for example, we'll take our regular IRCTC, right? So I want to go somewhere, and Tirupati want to go, Sai wants to go. We three plan to somewhere, and we want to reserve a ticket. So if I go individually, so for example, this is Sai, this is Krishna, and this is some Tirupati, Sanaidu. So individually we are going to try and get the tickets. Maybe you will get it, but how much how much guarantee that everyone will get a ticket? And another thing is, we will not get the same place, we will not get the same same berth on the same bogie or something. So there is no guarantee, and but it is a risk for everyone trying on the, it's going to increase the traffic of finding the tickets. We three are planned, so one person can take that action and he can log in and he can book at a time three tickets. Then there is a guarantee of you will get in a even though there is a chance of you'll get in a some other bogey, but that is going to be a rare case. One person is going to establish the connection, and he is going to log into the IRCTC. Because of that, two persons like a two persons traffic is reduced. So me and Sai is not going to log in because Tirupati is going to book a ticket. So he'll just establish that kind of login, and he'll start filling the details, and he'll just start click on the next, and he'll find the pay amount and all. So there is a guarantee of we three people will get a same ticket, and it reduces the burden of the sequel. So instead of IRCTC everyone log in, and three people are planned, so then why three people to log in, and why three people to book the ticket? So there is a chance of everyone will get a chance of getting tickets, and everyone will not going to get the ticket because of the traffic. So it's what is the point here, right? Not about ticket reservation. What is the point is, instead of making the traffic more onto the database, you can establish one connection, you can use a number of times. So the connection is going to wait to complete all the process. So you, once you log into the ARTC, you have right time, and you are trying to book the tickets, you have filled all the details, everything is good, then you all three get a tickets, and you will whatever required things you are going to take care for all the three people. Same way in your job, right? So if you establish one connection, you will reduce the hitting the database n number of times. So you are not trying to reach through when you are writing data, you are trying to reach the database, and you are finding the connection is established or not, and again you are reading the table, and you are again trying to establish the connection and reading the data. So these two times, instead of doing two connection establishments, you are just you want to book the tickets. So one person can able to log in, and he can book it for two tickets, right? So why two people have to log in and separately everyone? So that is going to increase the burden on server. So same way RTC, right? So why, that's why so many people will not get the tickets right time. And of course that's a better other like other background things, but generally why we are not going to get tickets? So much traffic, so people will start logging into the same time. And if the same family also, if they are same family also, that the person is in Bangalore, they'll ask book tickets my son, and the daughter is staying in Hyderabad, they'll ask book tickets daughter. So they'll try, all three people will start finding trying to log in and try to book the tickets. But these three people are planning to go somewhere, but they're not having the confidence, they will get a book, they'll get a result tickets on the time because of demand or something. But the case is what I'm trying to understand, what I'm trying to understand you also, right? So three people starting doing the same work, it is going to be burden for the server. Same way, if you are trying to establish a connection from the same job, you are trying to establish a n number of checks. So connection establishment is a check, pre-check, right? So before writing on data, I have to check the database connection is there or not. Same way, when I am trying to read from the table, I have to check the database connection is not there. To avoid that kind of traffic from our job, so they have provided a connection object. This is not going to be like a talent specialty or something. It's going to be common for any technology. This is even Java also will write a connection utility. From there you are going to use the connection to read the data, write the data, update the data. So that is going to be a one time check. So when that object is open, till that time you can establish a number of actions on the transactions between your job between SQL. So you can read the data, you can write the data, but this object should be open. So you are not closing, you are establishing connection, you are using the same connection to read, write data. So now what will happen, if the connection is established, then it will go here and will start generating data, and it will load the data into the table. And same way it will start reading from this already object is established. So you are using same connection, except this connection object failure, then it will job will fail you. Otherwise it will just it will be on a confident. So this connection is established. Same way Naidu is expecting booking a tickets, Sai and myself will be cool, right? The Naidu will take care booking the tickets. We don't worry about it. That confidence example, we are giving that confidence, so we don't need to worry about connection is established or not. So that is how we are going to reduce the traffic of hitting the database n number of times in our job. Okay. So now I'm going to run this job. So our connection is here. So once it is established, and it will come here, and we will try to load the data into the first flow and read the data whatever loaded in the first flow. So now you see, right? So there is no issue. So one time connection is established, and explicitly you want to close the connection. So always we open the page, right? So once you log in after booking, your tickets are done. So you have to properly close your connections also. There is a T post component which is going to perform at the end of your job. So T post component. So pre component, how we used, so how we used same way. After that we are going to use the post component. This is kind of automated. So I can they can simply make, we have a cooker and whistles, right? So three whistles are done, so we are done with that boiling is done. So that is an indicator. Same way in your job also you are making that kind of sense. So this is a pre component, get the prerequisites of your whatever you are doing in the main flow. And post, we are seeing, we are indicating that. So how we are having that kind of whistle notification where the food is boiled or not. Same way we are having that post connection which is going to happen. See, if something happened to the your cooker is failed, example, so still you want to stop the gas, right? So that is what we are going to take care in the production. So the food is ready or not, but some issue with your cooker, it's whistles are done, n number of whistles, but your food is not ready, even though we want to stop the gas. So we are having issue with our cooker, then why we have to keep gas on? So that we have to stop the gas. So that here, what is the two things what I am trying to say is closing connection. So when you are establishing a connection, we have to make sure after completed your work, you have to close the connection. That is a proper like a positive statement. And the second statement, you have a problem with your job also, still you have to close your external connections whatever you established. So that is a DB connection or FTP connection, or you have connected to the some may like Azure or AWS, whatever. So whatever connections you are trying to establish, you have to make sure closing that properly at the end. So one positive is, if the job is completely successful, still we have to close. If job is not completed successfully also, still we have to close the connections. That is our good practice and good it will be good. So that you can just compare your thing. So your food is right preparing, so cooker is failed to something, some issue with your cooker, it's not making that noise of whistles and all, but still your food is ready. So but we have to, how you will go and check, you have to check the food is done or not, and then you have to stop the gas. That is other way around. Your whistles are coming, but food is not boiled because your cooker is failed. Same way in your job, database is a database some issue, job is failed, but still you have to stop the gas, right? So gas, what is the purpose of you on, you want to prepare some food, you on the gas, that is an external source, right? So boiling, to boil something, you want to have the fire, so that's where you use the gas. So same way, two things are which going to consider in your job also. Whenever you are using something, you have to properly close at the end of your process when all things are success. Otherwise also you have to close the things properly. If the food is not ready, because of that I leave the gas, means who is going to lose? Your gas is going to waste, right? So the same way here also, if you use the connection because of some failure of job, your logic or something, your job is failed, but still why we have to open the database connection, we have to close it after fixing our issue. Then you will restart your job, then again we will establish a connection database. So that's where we are, what you have to use T post job, which is going to done at the end of your job. It is a failure or a success, doesn't matter. It will try to, it will check for all the flow. So it will say, it will wait for end of your job flows, and it will find all the jobs are done. If the, for example, this flow is failed, then it will start, it will wait for this to complete. It is not coming here, then it will kill that connections whatever it is going to close. So we are going to see which component we are going to use for close. So here you can see, right, T MySQL close. So you can use what, which is a connection established, TDB connection component. So whatever connection you established, so that connection you have to close. So So you have to select that connection list. So now you are going to put the on component. Okay. So pre-job, post-job, when it is going to work, this is your flow. So here also you can use, if the DB connection failed, then you can put a notification which is going to indicate why it is. So you can write. So you can copy that. If an error message is there in the, you can that. So now you see, right, the Xera flow. So that you want to prepare load data into the table. So what we need, prerequisite database connection. So you have to establish a database connection. So pre-job component, the purpose is, before starting the main flow, whatever prerequisites you are going to use in your job establishing a database connection, that check we are doing in the pre-job. So after that, you are going to start the main flow, and it will try to use the same connection object whatever you have opened at the starting of your job, and it will try to use that connection. So you have an option to use an existing connection. That option is going to indicate the referencing the whatever connection you established in the pre-job. Okay, and it will try to load the data, and after that it is also going to read the data, and it is also established a connection by using the existing connection. We have used the use existing connection option, and we have selected. If you have n number of DB connections, so schemas are different. So that's where the component name is going to listed. You will get a list of your database connection names. If you have used another component which is having different schema, also you can able to find which schema it is connecting, and which schema it is going to establish a connection. You will get it. Okay, after this is everything success, we are going to, whatever we have opened the connection, right, we are trying to close this connection. That is where we are using the post job. So post job is going to help you to close your connections after completing your process of thing. And even failure also, we have to make sure we are closing that connection, because the job is failed. So in tmap you have written some logic that is not sorry, that is not that is not that is not satisfied, whatever logic you have implemented, so job is failed. So even failure also, we have to stop the closing the connection. Otherwise it's not going to be useful, right? Still open the object to connect something. So how much time you are going to keep open? We don't know when you are going to fix, in the next 15 minutes or next 1 hour or next day you are going to fix. It's not about your logic, it's a business data issue something. So connection, you have to close it. So nowadays, right, they'll have automatic close sections and all. They'll keep 1 hour or 2 hours. If the connection is not doing any performing any action on that database, automatically they'll close it. But still, our responsibility to make sure we are closing our action. So whatever we have opened, the connection, we are trying to close it. That purpose they are giving the close component connection also. This is going to see in all the components. You are going to see this option in a relational database or cloud related any components. You are going to see the closing components also. Whatever connections we are establishing, we are making sure we are closing immediately once our process is completed. So this is how you have to design your structure of your job. So prerequisites, all connections, all whatever required, you are going to put the pre-job. So there is no configuration required in this component. Just to it's going to just indicate the connection, whatever you connected to the immediate component, the establishment of connection is done or not. And same way, post connection. So post connection is going to check connections are going to closed. So if it is a job failure or a job successful, doesn't matter. You use a post. If job is not running anything, then it will automatically go here and it will close it, the connection at the end. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. We'll continue further on this, and we'll use a metadata and all for DB. So next today and tomorrow also, we are going to have a database related. So what are all other components we are going to cover, and we'll try to read from the file to load into the database. And again, we'll try to write from DB to file. So like that, we are going to see some more scenarios, and we'll use a proper like job design for the file establishment and all. Okay, today completely what we are trying to understand is how to use the one connection for multiple database components you are using in your job. And we are having how to get the, if there is any connection failures and all, using the on component error, on subjob error. And we started using the pre-component, post-component. So pre-component purpose is to prerequisite checks before starting your main flow, and post-component, after completing the job, we are trying to close all our whatever connections we are going to establish. These are the 5 points we try to cover, and how to use the existing connection in your DB components. You'll see the existing connection option. Okay, so just you can start practicing these things. Okay, tomorrow we'll connect further more on these details. If you have any questions, you can start asking.